Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Can you believe another week has flown by? Here we are again. It's Wednesday night, time for Wednesday Night Live, and I am Teresa Harper, your independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator located in the USA. So let's see who's on. Give people a minute to jump. Say hello. And we shall see who we have. Hello, hello, hello. Tonight we will be using the Sweet Citrus bundle. And this is a photopolymer stamp set. And then it has the coordinating Sweet Citrus embossing folder and stamps. And this is a hybrid folder, so it comes with the embossing folder, the 3D embossing folder, and the dies. You cannot purchase these separately. They are bundled together, and they work in tandem together. So we're going to show you how that works tonight. Go ahead and comment when you jump on and let me know you're here. Say hello. If you're new to my channel, let me know where you're watching from so I can give you a shout out. All right, let's go ahead and see if my comments will come up. Hello, Jennifer. Hello, Laura. Hello, Cynthia. So glad to see you here. All right. We'll wait just one more minute and see who gets here. I have had a lot of fun with this stamp set in the last few days. I have three projects today, but we're only making two. So we're going to make a card and a 3D project, and then I will show you the other card that I finished up just before we came on. Thank you for sharing, Jennifer. I truly appreciate that. That's how we find new friends. And it's the best compliment you can pay me. All right, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with a card. But before we do that, I think I will go ahead and show you the card that I finished up right before we came on. It's a Thinking of You card, which actually is a birthday card. This uses the embossing folder. And I actually did hand cut these. You can cut them. You can cut this one and this one with the dies, but it doesn't cut out this one. So I just hand cut them. And then it is an easel card that sits like this. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. It says, thinking of you, enjoy the sweeter things in life. And then it has, have a zesty birthday on the inside. That's an easy to put together easel card. All right. So I hope you like that one. We're not going to put this one together tonight, but I did want to give you a little bit of extra inspiration. This card that we're going to make first is a little bit of time consuming, and we are going to use some packing tape in the making of our card tonight. We've got the banner Pick-a-Punch, the jar punch from that coordinates with the jar of flowers stamp set, and we will be using two stamps from the jar of flowers stamp set right here. We'll be using the jar image, and then we'll be using the straw image. Okay. Our pads tonight, we're not actually using pale papaya. I'm not sure why I have that in there. Mango, Melody, Flirty, Flamingo, and our Memento Tuxedo Black. And we've got some Stampin' Blends. We'll be doing a little bit of coloring. We're also going to use the black and white gingham ribbon. I hope you guys can all hear me tonight. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. So we're going to be putting that on our, actually both projects will use that. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm going to set a few things out of the way because we need room for our large Stampin' Cut and Emboss for this project. So let me get those out of the way. Set these champagne rhinestones out of the way real quick. All right. So this is a bit of a fun fold card. So we've got a piece of Flirty Flamingo, and this is cut at 5.5 by 10. And we're going to score this at 4.25 and 8.5. Okay. You can only get one of these out of a sheet of cardstock. So you might want to make it for a special person. So we're going to go ahead and burnish those score lines. And we're going to fold everything in, just like we would for a regular card, both directions. And that, I'm going to trim this just a titch, so that will fit in there just perfect, because apparently I didn't measure exactly, or my card's not exactly 10. Okay, so there we go. Now it'll close. If you ever find that, you need that to be just inside that score mark so that that will lay flat. And then we've got a piece of the Dandy Designs Designer Series paper, which is a celebration free item, free choice with a $100 spend. And this is 4 by 5.25. We've got another piece of that Dandy Designs, and this one is 1 1/8 by 5.25. Well, let's look on the back because I wrote it. Yeah, 1.25 by 5.25. I don't think that's right. Yep, it is right. Okay, so 1.25 by 5.25 for that piece, and we can go ahead and put these on now. So we'll just grab some Stampin' Seal. Did you guys say you could hear me? I'm hoping. I'm going to refresh the screen and see if I've missed any comments, because I just want to make sure you can hear. Hello, Lynette. All right, so let's put this up. And attach this to the front of our card. Right here. Kind of a busy evening this evening. Right after this Facebook Live, I need to run to Amity to pick up Caitlin from the Amity District Playoffs game. She's in the pep band. Okay, so we've got that down. All right. Okay, now on a scrap piece of white, you're going to need to stamp the jar, and I've done that in Smoky Slate. just put that down there. And then you'll want to color that with your Flirty Flamingo blend, Stampin' Blends markers. Okay. But we're going to save a little bit of time. I've already done that. And this is where a packing tape comes in. So I'm going to take off a piece of this packing tape. I'm going to grab my silicone mat here. And I'm going to measure out a piece of this. That's just long enough to cover my jar. Okay. So I just want to cover my jar. And then I'm going to cut this off. Okay. We're done with that. Now we're going to take the jar punch, and what you'll see is that gives that jar the look of glass. We're going to put this into our punch. And this jar punch and the stamp set are in the annual catalog. So we're just going to punch that out. All right. So now you can see the sheen that's on that jar. I don't know if you can see the shine. Yep, there you can. All right, so now we've got that. And that kind of looks like some grapefruit juice, which is the look we're going for. And before we go any further, we need to take our dark Flirty Flamingo and a piece of the black and white ribbon. And I want to go about 8 inches. And I'm going to cut that off. And then I'm going to color that. Okay, so I'm going to take my dark Flirty Flamingo and I'm going to use the brush tip. And I'm doing this now because I want this to dry. So I'm just going to take my Flirty Flamingo, run it down my ribbon. And I only need to do one side. My Flirty Flamingo is getting dry, man. Hope that holds out for the video. Okay. So now we'll set this ribbon aside to dry. All right, so we've got this. And next we need to do our fruit. So we're going to bring in the Stamparatus. Okay. And, okay. So I recommend when you do this, because I had a little bit of trouble lining this up. I recommend that when you do this, that you take your dies like this, orient them on how they're going to go in your stamping, or in your folder here, because this will fit right in here. And put it on your plate and then line up your stamp. Okay, and then everything will be good. Okay, if I undo this, I'll have to start completely over, and I don't want to do it. But this is how I did it. I put my die down, then I lined my stamps up on the inside, and then I closed the door on my Stamparatus and picked up the stamp. Okay? And that will make your life a whole lot easier when it comes time to cut it. All right, so let's grab a piece of basic white, And you need a piece that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Well, I guess you don't, but it's best if you do. That's what I find to be easiest. And then we're going to take we're trying to make grapefruit here. So my combination for that was to use Mango Melody for the outer portion. You could probably use pumpkin pie. I decided to use Mango Melody. Give that a good ink. And I'm going to give that a good press. And I could use a little better inking. So I'm going to go ahead and re-ink that. Make sure that's pressed into my Stamparatus in the same position. Give that a quick little rub. All right, and I'm happy with that. So we can set this plate aside and the Mango Melody. I'm going to clean this real fast, otherwise I will have Mango Melody everywhere. So I'm just going to wipe that up with my chamois and set that aside. And I'm going to grab my second plate, which I already have ready to go. And you really just lay these stamps inside here until they're lined up how you'd like them. Close the door and pick up the stamp. That's what you need to do in order to line those up. But I've already done that to save us time. And then we're going to take the Flirty Flamingo. Make sure that's solidly in the corner. Give that a rub. Okay. Pick that up again. And give it a good press. I might need to re-ink my stamp pad there, but that's a beautiful image. Okay, so we've got that. And again, let's give that a quick clean so I can close my Stamparatus. All right, and then we can put this away. All right, so now we can take this, and I found the best way to do this is to take my die. I'm going to take this large die. I'm going to place it into my Stamparatus, or onto my image here. I'm going to get that all lined up how I want it. This seemed to be the easiest for me. Now you can put your die in let me show you. So I'm not just, you want to put your die in the side that has the Stampin' Up! Logo on the back side. Then you line this in here and it just sits in there, okay? And then you could take this and do it this way and try to line it up and run it through. Okay, and that probably looks pretty good. You can do it that way, or you can do it the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to take this die. Either way is acceptable and will work. I'm going to take this die and line it up just so. And then I'm going to take some Post-it tape. anchor that down. Okay. Now I know I've got it lined up. And then I'm going to drop this in here and set it in till it clicks in. And then I'm going to run this through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Okay, so I've got that. And we need the base plate, which I just set on the floor. We need plate number 1 and plate number 4. We're going to run that through with the spine. Make sure that didn't move. The spine first. That way the pressure can go out the open back part. And then we're just going to run that through. Okay. And then when we pull that out, it is cut and embossed at the same time. Let me move these plates out of the way. And really, seriously, I lost it. Oh no, it's still in the envelope. Like, I've lost a piece already? Okay, so then we'll just pull this out of here. You can throw this piece away if you want, or you can keep it for another project. This is actually what I used to cut out my piece for the first card that I showed you, which now I'm not sure what, oh, I actually used that to color and cut this piece right here. Okay. So it's a very usable piece. You've got several fruit that you can use on here. So I'm going to set that aside, and now I've got my grapefruit. Okay. All right. So then we can start assembling. We just need to stamp our sentiment. And I've already stamped the straw. So what I did was I used a piece of petal pink paper, and I used the straw from Jar of Flowers, and then I just stamped that down. And you have to hand cut it because the Jar of Flowers only has the jar punch. So I hand cut that. And then we're going to take this, and I'm actually going to trim this up a little bit more, like so. And then I'm going to put my straw behind my jar, but I don't need that much. So I'm just going to cut a little bit, and I'll have another straw for another project. Okay, and then that will be what our jar will look like when we get that put together. Okay. So let's go ahead and get our piece to start assembling this. Okay, so you're going to need a piece of Flirty Flamingo that is 3 inches by 4 inches. You'll need a piece of basic white that's 1/4 inch smaller. So this is 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. And this is actually what we're going to assemble our scene on here. So we're going to take and put down our grapefruit slice, and we're going to do that with some liquid adhesive. So let's put this down. Okay. Just set that down here. And I'm going to take my jar. I'm going to get just a tiny bit of Stampin' Seal on the back here. And put my straw in. That looks good. Okay, then I'm going to put more Stampin' Seal on this. I'm going to put this down flat. Put it about right here. I'm not going to press that down too hard yet because I want to grab this. See if that's how I want it. Yep, that'll work. I'm going to press that down. Then for this one, oops, sorry, I knocked you. Hit the camera. I'm going to grab a couple of Stampin' Dimensionals. And we're going to put this down here in the corner, like so. And then we're going to add this piece to our Flirty Flamingo. And then we need to do a little more stamping. Okay, so this white piece that we have here is 2.5 by 3.5, and it's going to be mounted on a piece of petal pink that is 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. Okay, so let's stamp on this. And we're going to get the, trying to get some things out of the way here. We're going to take the trio of flowers that comes in that stamp set and the Flirty Flamingo ink. Okay. And, oh no, I don't want Flirty Flamingo. I want Mango Melody. Okay, so we're going to take Mango Melody here. And I need to stamp this so that my flowers, my big flower and my other flowers are kind of, I don't want it like this. That'll take up too much room for my sentiment. So I'm going to put that, and then I'm going to flip it, and I'm going to do the same thing again. Okay. Then I'm going to take my Flirty Flamingo, and I'm going to take the Sending You a Big Squeeze, and I'm going to put this in the center there, just like that. Okay, so now this has centers for your flowers, and I have taken and laid out my stamps and then pick them up with a block so that this one comes doubled and this one comes single, and I lined them up and then laid them down so I can put them in. But we're actually, nope, we need to do that with this. Okay, so we're going to take the Mango Melody again. And we're going to line these up like so. And this. Then we're going to grab the Petal Pink Light and Dark Stampin' Blends. Bring in a piece of scratch paper here. And I'm going to take the dark Petal Pink, and I'm just going to scribble in some lines here. I'm not trying to fill it in, I'm just trying to put some color in this near the center. With the dark. And then I'm going to go back with the light and blend that in and fill it. And it's okay if you leave a little bit of white space. That just looks like a shine on the flower. So we're going to do this. And then this piece will be ready. All right. Those out of the way. And now we can mount this with Stampin' Seal to our petal pink. Like this. We still have just a little bit of stamping. We've got a 1/2 inch strip of basic white. And we're going to take this sentiment, have a zesty birthday. And with the Memento Tuxedo Black ink, I'm going to ink that up. I'm going to stamp that down on here. Making sure I've got a good inking. Okay. And then we're going to take this one. I'm going to snip this off at the end. Okay. So snip this off with just about, maybe a 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to take the banner Pick-a-Punch. I'm going to slide that into the banner end as far as it'll go. Turn that over to make sure I've got it straight. Give that a clip. And now I've got my sentiment ready to go. Okay. The last thing you're going to need is a scrap piece of basic white, and really you just need a small square. And you're going to take that flower again, and you're going to stamp that in Flirty Flamingo. This time you don't need to worry about the centers because we're going to put jewels in there. And then you would just color these with Flirty Flamingo light and dark like I did before. Just a little bit here. And then fill it in. Those are both dark. Okay. Not sure where my light is. But anyway, you'll do that, and then you'll cut them out with the coordinating punch or the coordinating die. And I've already done that to save us some time. And the die for that cuts out all 3 at the same time. And if you need to cut multiples, there's 2 of them. Okay? But I did that to save us some time. So now we're going to take our Stampin' Pierce mat. I'm going to use the stylus from my Stampin' Score, and I'm going to use the small end to push in on the smaller flowers and the larger end to push in the middle on the large flower. I'm going to set those aside, and of course I put Wink of Stella on those. Now we're going to take our focal image here for the front, and That's going to go here. Now we need to make a note of about how much is going to land on this piece, and it's about an inch, okay? So I'm going to take some liquid glue. Well, actually, for time's sake, I should be able to roll 2 lines of Stampin' Seal. And then I'm going to center this up, which I can't do without my tweezers. My fingers get in the way. I'm going to center that up how I want it. Just like that. I'm going to give that a press. I'm going to run my bone folder there and press that. Okay, now for this one, we're going to put some Stampin' Seal on this one. And then we're going to lay this one in here. And we're going to center it up as well. But before we give it a press, we need to make sure that it's going to be fully covered by the outer layer. Okay, so we've got that. Now we're going to take our little grapefruit half slice and we're going to get some mini dimensionals for this. Okay, we've got our minis. Oh no, there it went. And in each corner, right here at the top and at the bottom right here, I'm going to put a mini dimensional and remove those backings. And I'll place this down here in the corner like so. And it's important that you put those in those corners so that you don't glue this card closed, because this is going to hold your card closed. Okay, let's go ahead and add our sentiment. For that, we're going to use a Stampin' Dimensional and a little bit of Stampin' Seal on this end. I'm going to curl that up with my fingers. And then I'm going to lay this across here. And I use the Stampin' Seal because this part is already bumped up and I don't need a double bump. And then I'll put the Stampin' Dimensional on this end so that it lays flat. Now we're going to take our flowers and I'm going to turn those over. I'm going to put a little dab of liquid glue right in the center. If I can get my liquid glue to cooperate here. I don't want a bunch. Just want a little dab. And then I'm going to put this one here. Use my tweezers to pinch that in. I'm going to take my large one. I'm going to put this over here. I actually think I used the wrong ones. That's okay. This one will be just a little bit different than my sample. And that's okay. All right, so then we're going to take our champagne rhinestones. And the take your pick tool. And I'm going to put a small one in the center of each of the small flowers. And a medium one in the larger flower. Okay. And there you have it. Okay. Now, for the very inside of the card, I have taken a piece. There's 3x4 piece for the inside. And then I took a small piece of that part that we cut off, that was left over from our die cut, and I just cut a 1/2 inch off the bottom. Well, actually, I colored these with my Stampin' Blends, and then I took a 1/2 inch slice, and I'm just going to put this at the bottom of my 3x4 piece. And we'll lay that down here. And I use the liquid glue because that's 3D embossed. Plus, it's going to give me a few seconds to move it into place. Then I'm going to trim that up. And then I'm going to add my inside sentiment, which I put away actually, because I was thinking I had already stamped this. I'm going to take the sentiment from Stepping Stones, and it says wrinkles should merely indicate where smiles have been. And I'm going to stamp that on the inside of my card in the basic black, or the memento. If I can find where I set it down at, because I didn't put it back. Okay, so let's ink that up. And this will just fit on my 3x4. I'm just going to stamp that down. And there you have it. Okay. And then for the envelope, I stamped that trio of flowers again. And we'll add this to the inside of the card now, and our greeting card is complete. All right. So there is our first project. Okay. Let's go ahead and clean up, and we'll move on to our 3D project. Get things out of the way though. So I had a lot of stuff laying around here I need to put away. Okay, let's move on to the next project. This one's pretty simple, and the colors that we're going to use are Daffodil Delight, So Saffron, and Flirty Flamingo. We're going to use some Tea Boutique paper. We're going to use a small piece, just a little piece. And then from the Something Fancy dies, set this aside. From the Something Fancy dies, we're going to be using this tag. I've already cut these out. So what I did is I took the largest tag and I put it, the stamp set comes with, or the die set comes with this little hole. And so I just took this, put it where I wanted it to in here, and then took a piece of Post-it tape. And then when I ran my Flirty Flamingo through, I cut 2 of these, and then they're cut exactly the same. Otherwise, when you cut them, your holes can be a little bit off. So these ones I've cut running it through this way to ensure that my holes were even. Okay, Lynette, good night. Okay, in addition, you're going to need the Give It a Whirl dies, and I've used this one for my sentiment. And I believe I already have that cut, but we'll find out in a second. Okay. So You need a piece of the Tea Boutique paper, and this paper is 1 7/8 by 2 1/4. If you have a directional paper, you need to have it in portrait. I've already stamped and die cut a lemon slice, and that was done with Daffodil Delight on the outside and So Saffron on the inside, just the way I showed you a few moments ago. Okay, then we have, oh yes, okay, I took and cut this from a piece of white, basic white, and then I've stamped Enjoy the Sweeter Things in Life. I'll show you how I did that, just so you will know, because this Enjoy the Sweeter Things in Life is a long stamp, so you need to put this down. Okay, I'm going to put that down. I recommend you cut this first, or no, never mind, don't cut it first. This is actually another scrap that I need for, we're going to we need the Parakeet Party stamp set for this. Okay, so we're going to take this and I'm going to ink up just Enjoy the Sweeter. Now, if you can't do this, if you're not comfortable doing this, you can take a piece of Post-it tape and cover up the other part and then ink. Okay? Then make sure you pull the Post-it tape, put down the Enjoy the Sweeter. Okay, then you're going to need to clean this. And then if you're using the Post-it tape, you're going to do the opposite end. Okay, but make sure you dry that so your tape will stay. Okay, so then you would do that and then ink up the things in life, just like that. Okay, and then again, pull your Post-it tape. And I find that the best way is to put the T and the H right to this Y on Enjoy and stamp that down. Okay. And then when you put this on, it should run through perfectly and you'll get this. Okay. So we have that. We've got a piece of Flirty Flamingo. This is for our box. Let's go ahead and score and get that done. Let's get those out of the way so we can bring the scoring pad up here. Actually, let's go ahead and finish our stamping. Got this scrap piece of paper because I stamped the wrong flowers for the, or I used the wrong flowers for the last project. So we're going to go ahead and redo this. We're going to take the Flirty Flamingo on this. And again, for this one, I don't need the centers. So I'm just going to take my Flirty Flamingo markers here and quickly fill this in. If I can find my light, Flirty Flamingo, which for some reason I don't see. I've got two darks out. I don't know. There's my light. Okay, so we've got this. So we'll put a little bit of dark. Fill it in with the light. It's better if you work from the center outward. so that you can blend those colors together. Okay, so that's that. Then we're going to grab that die here. I already had this done. Then I used the wrong ones on the wrong project, but that's all right. Okay, so let's go ahead and stamp this up. Let's get a piece of Post-it tape and line this up. Like so. And this is going to be too large of a piece to fit through my mini, so we're just going to fix that. That kind of looks like it moved a bit. Maybe not. All right. So we've got plate 1 and 2 plate 2s along with our die. And that's going to give us our flowers. Okay. So now we should have our pieces. Let's move those up here. Put the die away so I don't lose it. And we will make our little box. Okay, so we've got a piece of Flirty Flamingo, and this piece measures 5 3/4 by 4 1/4. So on the 5 3/4 inch side, or the long side, we're going to score this at 1 1/4, 2 1/4, and I just did that wrong. I did 1 1/8, 2 1/4. So 1 1/4, 2 1/4, 3 1/2, and 4 1/2. And then because I did that first one, I'm going to take my stylus and I'm just going to rub across this. You can use your bone folder and kind of erase that mark. It's not really going to matter for the box because we're not going to see most of the box. Okay, and you're definitely not going to see that part. Okay, so we've got that. Oh, silly me. On the 1 1/4 side, we need to score this at 1 inch on each side. Oh, this isn't the right one. Oh my goodness. That's not even the right one. 2 7/8 by 5 1/2. 2, 5. Okay, you guys, I totally messed that up. I grabbed the wrong template from another project. I didn't grab the one that was in the bag. Ugh, sorry about that. Okay, so forget all that. If I could edit it out, I would, but I can't. Okay, so you need 2 7/8 by 5 1/2. And what? This is 5 1/2. So we're going to go 2 7/8 here. By 5 1/2. All right. So then we're going to score this on the short side at 5/8 of an inch. Rotate it and score at 5/8, 2 1/2, 3 1/8, and 5. Okay, so again, the short side score at 4/8. On the long side, score it at 5/8, 2.5, 3 1/8, and 5. Okay, and then we're going to burnish these. Get this out of the way. Burnish on all the score lines. All right. And then this, you'll notice that this side is 5/8, this side is only a half. So this is going to be your glue tab, okay? So we're going to take our scissors and we're going to cut on that shorter side. I'm going to cut at an angle, and then I'm going to cut up at the first score line from the left here. And I'm going to remove that, and then I'm going to put just a little bit of an angle cut there, right? And then I'm going to cut up on the rectangle side, an angle on the glue on this short square on both sides. Again, cut up straight on the rectangle side, angle cut on the tab side, straight up on the long rectangle, and angle on the tab. All right. And then we're going to take a little bit of tear and tape, except it's not where it belongs either. Oh, wrong pocket. Slipped it in the wrong pocket when I was using it. All right, so we're going to take this, and on the glue tab next to the score line, we're going to put our tear and tape. Okay, and you want to make sure you put it next to the score line. All right. And then on one of these tabs, it doesn't matter which one, you're going to put a tab or a piece of tear and tape. Okay, so put one on the inside. That's going to fold up, and you're going to fold in your sides. Put that up. Okay. Well, also, I'm going to go ahead and put one right here as well. And actually, I'm not going to lift off that one because I shouldn't have done that. Okay. So there we go. This piece, never mind. We're not going to take that off. All right, so let's go ahead and grab our take your pick tool. I'm going to fold this one on the second score line, this one on the first score line, just lay it flat and adhere that. Put your sides in. This is the back of the box. Put your back in. Take your tear and tape off of here. And there's your box, okay? Then we're going to take our tags, and I'm going to take some liquid glue and put on my box. I'm going to take my tag with the front side out, and I'm just going to lay that on the bottom there and center it up. And it's almost a perfect fit. You have just a tiny bit of hangover there. Okay, and I'm going to make sure that I set it flat on my surface so that my tag doesn't hang below my box, so it'll set nicely. And I'm going to take my bone folder and give that a good rub. Turn it over, and I'm going to repeat that process on the other side. Just going to line that up, center it as best I can, lay it flat, and then I'm going to go in with my bone folder and burnish that. Okay, so now our box is complete. As far as the box itself, it will hold 2 Kit Kat Lemon Crisp miniatures. Put those in there. Because this has rounded bottoms, I'm going to round the bottom of my designer series paper, and you can use whatever corner rounder you have. Stampin' Up! Does not currently have one, and actually I'm rounding all 4 corners. Okay, so I'm going to round all 4 corners. And put a little bit of glue on here and add my designer series paper to the front of my box. Take some Stampin' Dimensionals and put on the back of my lemon slice. And to put that on my box down here, center that up. Next, I'm going to take the sentiment that we did, and I'm going to take my Stampin' Seal. You could use liquid glue because it is a 3D embossed layer that you're putting it on. I'm just going to give that a good burnish. I'm going to take my flowers, and again, I'm going to use the large end for the center, the small end for the littles. Flip those over. Put a little bit of liquid glue on them. And I'm going to add the large flower down here, making sure that we don't cover up our sentiment. Just putting it on the edge of the lemon. And then we're going to put a small flower right here. And a small flower up here. Like so. Okay. Let those sit for just a second. And we're going to take some of that black and white gingham ribbon again. This time we're not coloring it. We're just going to leave it black and white. I'm going to take the end of my ribbon, thread it through the front to the back, and then I'm going to pull it up. I'm not going to tie a knot. Just going to take this, form a loop, push it through, and secure it. And then I'm going to hold on the center here, adjust my loops, give my bowl a little bit of finesse there, trim up my ends, just a tiny bit here. I just want to take off the fray, cut this one at an angle. And last but not least, we're going to take this and add some of the Glossy Dots assortment. These come in Gorgeous Grape, Melon Mambo, Daffodil Delight, and Pool Party. So we're going to grab a medium dot for the center and smaller dots. Whoops. Center there. And the center there. And that is the second project. All finished. Hope you like those. Sorry I ran over. All right, so let's bring back that card we made. Along with our matching box here. Okay, I hope you like those tonight, and that gives you an introduction to the Sweet Citrus Bundle. And this is the card that I showed you earlier. I don't know if I can get all of these in here, but we're going to try. So there you go. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for all the kind comments. I love that. So happy you enjoyed that. And I will see you back here again next Wednesday with a couple more projects. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you so much. Good night.